Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Community Spotlight. This week, your vote told us that you wanted to see Dandara, which is an indie Metroidvania where gravity is only a suggestion, so you'll have to stick around to see just how much of a suggestion. And in order to help us show this game today, we have Polecat, Agri, and Granox. We're going to run any percent and then race 100% after that, because it turns out that any percent skips quite a bit, and you'll get to see the rest of the game when they race 100% afterwards. But before we dive too deep into Dandara, we have a few quick announcements. Random number generation is returning tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, so tune in for that. And prize submissions for Games Done Quick 2020 are open. You can find the link and guidelines for that at gamesdonequick.com. Has all the information there for you. So, Polecat, Swayze, how are you two doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking.
Doing quite well, even though it's a bit later, but excited to see some fun gameplay.
I'm also happy I don't have to introduce myself. I'm lazy like that.
Yeah, so why don't you give us the quick overview of what Dandara is and what kind of gameplay we can expect to see here?
So I'll talk about gameplay first. So we'll talk, and once we get the run started, we can talk about some of those other. But whenever you watch a Dandara run, you'll notice that you'll kind of see like these lines popping up, and these lines, you'll see a green line and a white line. The white line is what the player is suggesting, and the green line is where I'm going to go when I press A. And throughout the game, I can kind of jump in 360 angle motions or 180, depending on whether I'm on a wall or not. And using this effectively is kind of the only way to move around quickly. And it's very basics. There's not that many like super fast speed tricks. There's a couple like quick spins and stuff like that, and we'll cover those when we get to those. But for the most part, it's very much all centered around movement for a run of this game. Is there anything else you'd like to add there, Sweezy?
I think that's about it for now. We'll have some more things to talk about while the run is actually going. I think that's good enough for now.
All right. So if there's nothing else that you'd like to cover before we get started, then I am ready when you are. You can give us a countdown to get started.
All right, that is good to hear. So I will get started in 3, 2, 1.
All right.
So we have this first room here with the tutorial, one of the tutorial rooms. And one thing that a lot of people don't know about this room is that they kind of added some more tutorial rooms, and they had that second target all the way to the left. And a lot of people don't realize that you get to skip almost all the tutorial hitting that second target.
Yeah, so you may see a lot of the surfaces white here. The white surfaces are all made of salt, and those are actually the only surfaces you can jump to. As Polk has explained, there are the lines that come out of Dandara is where you actually are gonna jump to when you press the A button. So a lot of the game is centered about just moving from wall to wall to wall to wall to wall until you reach your destination.
So one thing you might notice is that some of these chests I'm just kind of like walking straight by, and some of these chests we just simply don't need throughout a run. Anytime we collect like a key item, it takes about 5 seconds or more for an animation to play through. But this first chest over here that we're going to collect is actually rather useful. This is a potion. And I think they call it like an essence of salt. Yeah. One thing that is notable about this game is everything is salt.
Everything is salt.
The walls are salt. The floor is salt. Like the upgrades are salt. The potions are salt. So
currency is salt. Very salt. It's great. So as this is Metroidvania, to progress we need items that let us progress, so we can progress to more items, so we can keep progressing. First thing we're going to do is walk through this village here, where we're first going to unlock the power of art and then the power of music, more or less. To power some green and purple platforms to let us continue, and then move towards the first sub-weapon. So some interesting properties as well with Dandara's regular shooting ability. You see right now, or when he's going to shoot next, Dandara has 3 arrows. And there's a slight animation and vibration in the controller when the game thinks that you're allowed to be shooting, but you're actually allowed to shoot a little bit before that. So if you time it correctly, you can just continue to shoot a little bit faster than the game might expect you, which can lead to some fast boss fight, more or less.
Yeah, that's one thing that's very important throughout a run, is that even though firing looks like it's very slow, you can constantly charge for a new one, and that's as soon as you fire as well.
Yeah.
And that makes damage output a lot more than what people think what a normal run would actually do.
for sure.
We're also
And,
coming up on the first mini boss here. We just call him the tank.
Pretty fitting name since it's a tank.
Yeah. And you know, this is actually a really hard fight, so we hope we'll get past it here.
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, we got past it.
Nice. Good job.
Thanks. I was really stressing about that fight.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's a very stressful first mini boss then. So yeah, one thing I also made him notice is that Poleguys have been taking some damage, and that's completely fine. You get a lot of health upgrades, especially in a little bit, and also every time you pick up new potions, all your potions get refilled. There is our one section a little bit later where it's going to be a little bit more important to not take damage, but for now, damage boosting is going to be quite just useful. You don't have to go like super slow to try to avoid everything, because you can just take some damage. It's usually fine.
Oops.
It's usually fine.
Usually fine.
So I noticed that you're mostly skipping everything and only shooting a couple enemies in the way. Is that the general theme for this? Do you get anything from killing some of the enemies?
So a lot of enemies drop salt when you kill them. The biggest problem with enemies though and killing them is once again, as we mentioned, the firing mechanic. It requires time to charge up your attack. So if the enemy is not directly in the way, I'm generally going to be avoiding the heck out of them. Another thing that I guess we should have mentioned by now, that death there previously was on purpose.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the game features backtracking that you don't want to do. And so one of the most interesting things about any percent versus 100% is the use of various different ways to warp and death warp to conserve salt and conserve just where you are on a map.
Mm-hmm. Also, an interesting thing with the salt, if you do die, all this you get like a little spirit thing where you died, which actually contains all of your salt. So if you get back to it without dying, you get your salt back, which can do some good for routing. We might even see a spirit again soon.
Yeah, there's also notably spirits of just other people that have passed away. And you can pick those up at any time. Whenever you do pick up a spirit, you get all of your health back, and then you also get like a catch of salt as well. And so it's kind of some bodies are kind of routed in for the fact that UHP. Some of them are routed in because of just how much salt they contain. And you know they're just always in the same spots. There's nothing random about them, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
One thing to say about RNG overall is that there actually is very, very little RNG. One of the very few instances of RNG, you probably saw those like spear guys with the fox mask or whatever you want to call it. And the main RNG from those guys is whether or not they're facing right or facing left when you start a room. But for the most part, RNG is pretty minimal.
Yeah, which is nice. So here's our first sub-weapon. So you may see in the top left, there's a little yellow meter, and that's the I guess salt meter. Everything's salt. Basically the amount of power you have for your weapon, and the different sub-weapons have different amount of energy to take, and this missile is pretty weak, so it takes quite a small amount of energy.
Does that recharge over time? Do you need to pick things up to recharge it?
So in order to recharge it, you have to rest at camp, or you have other specific yellow potions. We won't get yellow potions in any percent because it takes way too much time to open chests for them, but you know, for the most part, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Another thing too that's important about that energy cost is, even though you know he says it's not very powerful and it's very weak, the low energy cost is actually a really good boon of this sub weapon.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you talk about the boss here because I'm going to concentrate on it.
Right. So we have a boss. Please remember which one it is. Right. It's the big face, isn't it?
Yeah, we got Augustus showing up here.
I guess that's the name. Thank you. We're gonna start off here.
We usually just call him Bison, so.
Yeah, Bison makes sense too. Yeah, here you can actually just stand on his fist for a bit, and you can damage his hand quite a lot to skip a bit of the face here. Not quite enough for a full face skip.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to some new routing, we're not able to absolutely skip the first phase. We start with what is a 3-shot on our kind of basic attack here. And normally we used to start with 4, but we realized with some new routing that it's just faster to go and grab the start with a 3-shot and just grab the 4-shot when you're on the way through it. So it's a little unfortunate, but that's our first boss.
That's a very clean boss fight. Good shot. Good stuff.
Thank you.
So yeah, something obviously Polkats didn't have that much problem here, but what's going to be difficult later with boss fights and such is that you not only do you have to take into consideration the boss itself and their projectiles, but there are also usually a lot of enemies on the side, and if you need to move a lot during the boss fights and making sure you don't hit too many enemies, and also dodging all the projectiles, it can be a bit tricky to move around. First boss is obviously not the hardest, but it'll definitely ramp up as the run goes on.
I guess a fun fact, a little while ago I did a 100% run, and one of the incentives for it was activating one of the hard mode challenges, which is the one that was activated was Revenge Projectiles. And that boss isn't very fun because he spawns a lot of friends.
So how much does the range on your projectiles come into play? Because it looks like they only go a certain distance.
Very often. That first boss is a great example of your range being limited. This is because you can't quite reach them from all the way across the room. So oftentimes we need to make sure that we have the correct positioning in order to grab, in order to be able to hit a lot of different things. Luckily, we won't have to worry about positioning too much on the final boss, because if you're anywhere alive, you can still hit it. But yeah, it comes into play in different places. One of probably the worst limiting factors, though, in a run of Dandara is when you're fighting a boss, or even mini-boss, is things can go in walls, and our attacks don't go through walls.
So I saw our Salt Phantom, or whatever you called it.
Yes.
Spirit, more or less. Yeah, so that's just sort of very nicely on the way back when he dies in that specific spot. So he gets all the salt back that he collected beforehand, as well as just his health back. And oof, I believe now we're gonna upgrade, right?
Yeah, we're gonna be grabbing upgrades very soon at the next camp we get to.
Yeah.
We also grabbed the arrow that I mentioned earlier, and that makes the damage of our attacks go from 3 to 4. It doesn't sound like a huge change, but like it makes a huge difference throughout the run, especially when we run into enemies that take like maybe exactly 8 shots to kill or 7 shots to kill.
Yeah.
Do upgrades just use salt?
Yep.
Yes.
You have the currency meter in the top right, so we're gonna use that. This bridge may be important later.
Yeah, that bridge. It looks like we can only go this way, so that's a little unfortunate.
If only there was a way to go back.
Yeah, if only. I don't think there is. I'm sorry.
Nah.
Run ruined.
Yep. So now we're gonna upgrade our hearts a bit, get a bit more healthy, bulk up a bit, which is always nice.
This next section we need to go for a very long section of gameplay without dying at all, and having more hearts actually helps a lot with it.
Surprising.
But hearts are also required for the run itself, so it's a really nice thing that works out pretty well for us.
Yeah. So you mentioned death warping being kind of a thing here, and this area that we're moving into now, we're gonna go basically as far in as we can, get the progression item and something else as well, and the sub weapon, and then just death warp out. And it is quite a long section, so
yeah, it's an incredibly long trek, and the reason that it is so long is because this room we're in here is supposed to house the second boss, but and you know it looks pretty much like an arena, as you can see it, and you know I'm sure it looks cool, but you'll have to catch 100% to see that. So I'm sorry.
So
you mentioned that you're going a long distance and then death warping back. How do you set your death warp points? Is that just
So
wherever you
your
camp?
previous camp has your death warp location, and a previous flag as well. So it's very important that I actually don't rest at any camp here, even though that's very tempting because you know I'm short 3 hearts, right? But I simply cannot do that. I will have the wrong death warp location.
yeah, so the last camp, Polkats, the rest of that was like before the arena-looking place that totally doesn't house the boss. Don't worry about it. So we're gonna want to skip that.
You want to talk about the skip here real quick?
Oh, I just need to remember which one this is. Oh yeah. So there's a little gap in the wall here. And if you're a bit sneaky like this, you can damage boost to be suspended midair and just barely get over there. So it's a very nice little skip there. So it doesn't really matter what Dandara's book is. The only thing that matters is that you can actually get a line onto a white surface. So let's skip. Very well.
That's not good.
Ooh. Oh, that's me.
I am sorry, everyone. We are going to be having to go with Red Flash. Red Flash was added into one of the newer patches, and there is no option to turn it off at the moment. Hopefully, though, we don't get bodied here. That's my bigger worry.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting bodied here.
I believe in
really
you.
bad. Ooh.
You're just making it tense for the viewers.
This is the much more terrifying room as well.
Oh yeah.
Really, you're just trying to keep it exciting for the viewers?
I took that really slow. Oh no. Okay, good. Those little sand enemies there, for whatever reason, those two specifically in that room, they only spawn when you get close to them. So I even got scared there. I was like, oh no. So these last couple rooms will be our last kind of what's the word? Obstacle we have to worry about on low health for a little while. I will take it pretty slow because I really don't want to fail here.
Yeah, no, just losing some seconds is way better than losing minutes, I've heard.
Yes.
I think that's how time works, at least.
Okay, here we go. Here's our next salt body, and we get a free refill from that. We don't have any potions to operate on, so hopefully this next mini boss goes well. And if you want to talk about the mini boss while I'm going up the tower, I'd very much appreciate that. We're about to fight the antlion.
I've forgotten what fight this is. This is great. I'm too tired for this.
It's been a while, hasn't it, friend? But yeah, the antlion mini boss, he's kind of just in his own little pit there, and he'll shoot projectiles at you. The main thing I don't want to get hit by is the jaws, and those do about 3 damage. I'm also trying to hit some missiles into his mouth first so that I can hopefully get this in 2 cycles. Okay, that was a perfect fight.
Nice.
Well, near perfect. It wasn't as fast as it could be, but... So we're coming up on the next required item here, which is the... I think it's called the Rock Remembrance, but I just like to call it the Spooky Skull.
Spooky Skull is better. Alliteration always wins in my book.
It's a pretty spooky skull, right?
Yeah, it's very spooky. Ooh. And we're also going to do a main menu warp here. This actually loses time in real time, but it gains time in game time. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that this game's we time by the in-game timer, and it does have pretty heavy implications for like even what consoles we run on. I used to run on Switch, and even though I was able to get sub 40 on Switch, the game loads so much slower in rooms that it got to a point where switching to PC gave me I think like 3 to 4 minutes of just free time. It makes a very large difference what you're running on.
Also, you may have seen podcasters there using sub-weapon to swap around those cubes faster. You don't have to... using the sub-weapon just basically mitigates the charge time of your regular weapon, so you can spin around faster.
Yeah, or as I like to call them quick spins, because they are, after all, spinning quicker. And yeah, that's usually I don't get a chance to quick spin there, but because I was actually able to shoot the missiles accurately for once, because it can be a little bit difficult to get the missiles into his jaw, I was able to use them there. But there will be a better example of quick spins later on, and the difference they make in not having to charge. So you may have thought, okay, well, you guys got the rock, and what are you guys still here for? It was like that all you need. And we're picking up an optional item. This is like one of the very few optional items that any percent actually likes to get.
Yeah, for the current
one thing that is hard. And one thing that's very peculiar about this item is that if we were able to get this item without the Rock of Remembrance, we actually would just come into desert, grab this item, and leave. So if anybody ever figures out a way to get past this this spinning merry-go-round here without the Rock of Remembrance, I would greatly appreciate that, because that's like a 2-minute time save.
What's this Rock of Remembrance that you speak of? I thought it was the Spooky Skull.
Oh yeah,
right. My bad.
But yeah, the reason that we needed the Spooky Skull was to activate all the traps and moving platforms and things of that sort. And now we're grabbing the Memory Shaft here. The Memory Shaft is another sub-weapon, and it has a lot of different implications for both 100% and any percent. 100% uses it for mandatory damage boosting, and any percent just says, hey, damage boosting is kind of broken. And so we'll be using that later for that very purpose. The next thing we gotta go do is we gotta go grab a purple crystal. I think it's called like the Stone of Intention, but it's a crystal. It's not a stone.
Don't worry about it.
But it's a crystal.
Yeah, but crystals can be stones, right?
You know what else is a crystal? Salt is a crystal.
Fair enough.
All right.
It's the Salt of Intention. You got me.
Thanks, I hate it. Yeah, so the
Oh, I guess I should
crystal
probably
or
talk
from?
about our turret friends here, because
yeah,
they
that's
hit
good.
really hard. If you've
Yeah, they're
never been
kinda
hit by that
terrifying.
laser before, it does 4 damage. It's a pretty big mistake when you get hit by that, because we're about to go against 3 damage on each swipe. So coming up into the next room after this one is going to be probably the best example of quick spins in a run. We're going to try to get through the lasers that are here on first cycle, and hopefully I get the jump in time. So yeah, there we go. We got that room pretty safely. Usually you'd have to wait a couple seconds, and I mean, that's slow. Who wants to do that?
Yeah, waiting. The
Not a fan of waiting.
Nah, not really. I've heard it's slow.
All right, so I'm going to concentrate for this fight a little bit.
Yeah, so these scythes are really annoying because they just love going through walls, and you just can't deal with them through walls. As we mentioned earlier, your shots really don't go through walls. So having to avoid them, waiting patiently, it's just a bit annoying to deal with. Luckily, this is like the only required one, I believe.
Yeah, we will fight another one later just because it's super dangerous not to mess with him, or just to let him be. But yeah, for the most part, that is the only required one to fight.
Yeah. They're scary. So here we have the crystal stone of maybe intention.
Crystal, stone, rock, boulder.
The thing that is purple and helps us a bit.
Yeah, so you may have noticed some of the purple flip pads. If you had not, maybe really passed too many of them. And with the Stone of Intention, we're able to flip them now. One thing we didn't explain very well is kind of these colored relics we're grabbing. Firstly, you know, the green gear looking thing, and then the spooky skull, and now the salt crystal, I guess. All that stuff, it just helps us kind of access new areas by little bit, and they're all in an intended order. And unfortunately, there's no way to get around that intended order at the time being. What we're doing here is we're going to go grab a camp called Breach in the Wall, and it might seem a little bit counterintuitive just to look at a camp and like go like, oh darn, we can't get to that, but it's important later. So we're just about ready to get to the next skip, but we need to collect a little bit of salt. The reason that the routing is the way it is in this game is because we need to get to enough salt for 9 upgrades in order to do basically, it's a semi-required skip. It doesn't save all that much time, but because we have the memory shaft, we may as well go ahead and do so. And you can go ahead and describe that skip real quick.
Yeah, so you remember that bridge? That definitely wasn't important. It turns out it's going to be a bit important. So for the bridge, what we're going to do is use the memory shaft, which shoots a laser beam. We're going to hit ourselves 4 times.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Two damage.
Each hit does 2 damage.
Yeah. So if you do math quickly, that's 8 damage it does. So if we have 9 hearts, that means that we can survive the 4 hits, and then we can get back over the bridge from where we came, which is very nice.
Yeah, the alternative route of doing that takes about a minute or 2, and collecting all this extra salt obviously took about a minute or 2. But because we already have this skull, and we kind of need extra health for the next skip we're doing right after this one, it's pretty useful to have just this little extra time saver along with it.
Sure.
I'm told in the very early days before they had that skip, there was some very interesting routes that used only 3 health.
That sounds scary, given that you've passed multiple enemies that do 3 damage.
Yes, it is.
This game is scary enough as it is. I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
Here we have another little skip. So this platform that he's currently shooting himself into repeatedly is oscillating back and forth a little bit. And if you time your dash as it's oscillating, you can get through that wall. It is very precise and really hard.
Yeah, one thing that's worth mentioning about it is it used to be easier.
Yeah,
but
right.
the devs saw it and they were like, oh, we don't want people to. So they patched it, and then we go, hey, and then I go one day, I was like, yeah, isn't this like harder now? They're like, oh, I thought we patched that out. I was like, yeah, you definitely patched it out. Good job. We cannot do this anymore. Please do not attempt to patch it out anymore. So yes, it's much more precise than it used to be. The reason for this is because Dandara can no longer be hit in kind of random directions when she's flying. So we have to use a very specifically timed jump. There we go. Specifically timed jump to get through that wall. There are 2 ways to get through that wall. There's the partial clip and the full clip. We got the full clip. The partial clip is a little bit dangerous because once you do end up in the wall, you have to get over to the other side really quickly before the wall decides to eat you up and put you back inside.
So y'all remember that camp?
Yeah.
We're not gonna teleport to it. Great. We saw a camp and then we know exactly how to teleport to it. Everything makes sense. Don't worry. So yeah, now we're back inside the Golden Capital? Intention Capital?
The Golden Fortress is where we've gotten ourselves into now.
Great.
This place is not very friendly.
Almost like this
It is not made of friends.
No, it's only made of bad people. I don't like bad people.
Oh, there's those enslaved people. We have to free the people, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to free one for the heck of it?
Yeah, do it. That'd be nice.
All right, he is free now.
Yay! Friend.
Um,
Slaves do actually do things. They power most of the electric things, I guess.
Yeah, they power most of the traps and stuff. You can see these ones
yeah.
like, causing bubbles, and some of them kind of have lasers attached to them. And whenever you break them, it will disarm some traps. Only one of them is required in a run. But we will be breaking. Usually I break 2 because it's just safety for 100 or any percent.
Yeah. So here we have another not
shoot.
required in the boss. But these 2 turrets that we talked about earlier that are very scary. And we're gonna, for some reason, the people who designed this place just decided to leave a little gap where they can't be damaged. They're otherwise completely like invulnerable. But there's just a gap. I still have no idea why this is here, but it gives us a chance to.
You have to get revenge for when your first playthrough and that laser gets you and you die. I have seen a lot of people, because this is a Metroidvania, there's a lot of people that like to take the bottom route first, and that goes right past those 2 guys, and they are not very nice.
No, I totally didn't die to them in my playthrough. Yeah, they're annoying. So we're gonna see damage boosting, more of it.
So yeah, this is the first kind of what I like to call the locks of. Ooh, this is not going well. This is like the first lock of Golden Fortress, and each lock kind of has its own set of enemies in it. We go for the first lock first because it does the least damage, and it tends to be the safest. The second lock is a little bit risky. It hits a little harder, and I prefer not to use my potions during it. Ooh, it's not quite where I want to be. There we go.
so someone points out in chat that it's probably a gap for maintenance on the turrets. I could get behind that answer.
Sure.
I mean, at least it's on the
Also,
inside.
they could make it like
right?
they could make it like a hat. I guess I'll accept it, but I don't like it. Bad architecture. Try again. But yeah.
So that's the first lock, and we're going to be opening the first lock here. One thing that is, you don't have to do an any percent, but currently even the world record has it, is this death warp here. And the thing is, Golden Fortress is so long, and it's a very difficult section of gameplay that it's very likely that going in there with only 9 hearts, you're not going to come back out going through all 4 sections of it. So we do this to save ourselves a little bit of time by fighting the turrets, so we don't have to do all that walking back. Then we also leave our body there so we can collect it later, get our hearts as well. And we're going to be jumping into the second lock of Golden Fortress. And the second lock is much harder than the first one. We have these kind of weightlifters here, the swole guys. Swole boys, they do 3 damage on contact, and those projectiles they fire out also do 3 damage. They're pretty nasty.
Yeah, you may see him jumping back and forth there. And they jump to the opposite surface either when you jump or when they get hit, I believe.
Yes. Oftentimes the pattern is to be on the opposite side that they are, and then to shoot them and jump onto the platform they're on, so they won't jump twice. Here we are, freeing more of the people.
Yay! Friend.
Oof, oof, oof.
Oh, he's not being nice. Ooh, that's a lot of projectiles.
Okay.
Nice.
Temporarily safe. Okay, good.
Alright, cool.
That was actually incredibly scary there.
Yeah.
I have never been in a situation that particularly sticky, I don't think. Managed to make
There's a
it.
couple of projectiles there.
If you died there, that means you'd lose the ghost that you intend to collect later, right?
Yes, and that's one of the bigger problems with. I do have 2 potions, but the thing is, when you collect your ghost, you also don't get your potions back. And I want to have my potions for the 3rd and 4th locks, which are easily the most difficult lock, and then probably the most intense lock. But the 4th lock is really short.
Yeah. Also, the reason we actually need these locks is the final boss is at the end of this long hallway, and we need to unlock the locks to actually get through everything. Because we actually want to fight the final boss. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, we have found wrong warping, but it hard locks your save file, so that was not very useful in the long run. That was a pretty interesting time when we found that too. There we go. We got rid of. So that's the optional bird I fight, and that's just because this room's pretty long and he can chase you through it. No problem. Oh, don't you dare.
Nice. Yeah, the projectiles of those triangle dudes just rotate 90 degrees whenever you're perpendicular to them. Is that 90 degrees?
It's whenever they line up with you, yeah. And they can turn your right or left. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They'll try to like kind of home on you a little bit. A lot of these rooms are really well designed to hit you with that.
Yeah.
Don't mind all the stuff following me. They're just friends. They're shaped like friends. See?
It's fine. Yeah, the on the ground there you see the oh okay, that's a lot. Alrighty then.
Oh, I'm sorry. That room is very scary. I always tense up when I'm at it. I don't ever talk about it either. That room, you need to break that lock before those birds get very upset. Oh, I should actually. I'm gonna take a safety here and go right back and break that lock.
So one thing I completely forgot to mention is sometimes on the ground you see these like little white bulbs. Basically, whenever you step on them, they charge up and become electric, and electricity hurts. So.
Yeah, that's actually originally that was kind of a pain that they're there, and nowadays I use that as a kind of a way to refresh invulnerability, so I don't get hit by those birds that are not shaped like friend. Oh, this is getting dicey. Okay, we're out. That room is very intense, as you can tell. There's a lot of guys following me through that room.
Just a couple enemies. It's fine.
They just want to hang out, you know. They're like, hey, you're Dandara, you're cool.
Look at those sick moves.
This is a regular switch. There's nothing special about this switch. It doesn't do anything. I just like it.
Yeah. This is just time lost for the sake of hitting a switch.
Yep.
That room is definitely not important in about 30 seconds. Or
nope.
I've learned not to believe you on these matters.
What?
I've not told a single lie.
Truth. I am the Dandara Grandmaster. Actually, I don't even know what I am. I'm probably just a dirty meme. Sorry for letting a meme into the stream.
Oh no, the room was important.
Oh no, it actually houses something important, as you can tell by all the spotlights. Oh, you go ahead and describe the final boss in all its glory, because I am going to be concentrating for all this fun.
Best of luck, first of all. So, we're going to fight a giant TV. Because why not? So, the final boss, whose name I keep forgetting, help.
It's Eldar.
Thank you. Eldar first houses himself in this TV here, and he's gonna roam around, do a couple different attacks. There's a charging attack where it's just gonna completely smash into the wall that you're currently on, like that. There's a bunch of projectiles he shoots out. He also shoots out mini Eldars. So just a little bit of that I tried to talk about earlier. We have to both keep in mind where the boss is, the projectile of the boss, and the enemies that he spawns. But it was a pretty clean first phase. Nice job.
Yeah, so for anybody who's not aware of being crushed by a wall, what it does to you, it kills you, just like any other video game. It hurts. In older patches, that TV used to be faster, and he crushed me all the time.
Oh yeah, it was a pain. There's the second phase, where he's now an orb, and there's also 3 or 4 of him or something.
It's like 5 of them.
5 of them even. Yeah, so he has a couple more attacks. First of all, you can both stand on him as well as on the white surfaces, of course. There's these arrows that just go around in a circle, just radius. So it's more of keeping track of where you are. You have to shoot through his shield to actually be able to damage him. Just a bunch of constant moving, making sure you don't take too much damage. Breaking the shields, and then just going to town.
The one attack we really don't want to see is eggs.
Yeah.
And you know what eggs are. They look like eggs.
Yeah. Not very fun. Really just hurt. Also shoots at these masks that just home in on you. Luckily they get killed in just a single hit. Quite easy to deal with, but also kind of annoying.
That was a really clean fight. I have not had that many fights that good. Some other attacks you might see from him are the golden mice. And they last for like a full minute, and they just keep going around around the screen, unlike those purple ones. I'm not going to do cutscene skip here, but I'll describe it real quick. At the start of the game, we did a cutscene skip that we pressed L1 twice, and we got to skip like the opening credits. You can also skip the ending credits, but the threat of what you do there is you soft lock your game. You don't get your time, so we're gonna go through the credits. Time is when the time appears on the screen, like right. Now, there we go.
Nice.
It's a pretty good time, 34:22.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Good stuff.
Yeah. There was a bit of a struggle with the fake time skip, but I was kind of expecting that today.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain.
It was a good looking run.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any shout outs you'd like to give?
Shout outs to the community per usual, because I showed up a year late, and I basically took a look at the run, did a little bit more with it, and you'll get to meet a couple other members of the community in a second when they run 100% for you. So if you guys are having a good time, stick around, enjoy a little bit more Dandara. If you saw this game, you're thinking, dang, that game looks sick, I want to try it. This game has been ported to everything. It's you can play it on your phone, you can play it on any of the current gen consoles, and you can play it on PC. All great game, lots of fun. Just don't play on keyboard. That's the only thing we'll ever say about it.
It's a bad idea.
Keyboard controls are notoriously bad. But yeah, outside of that, I've been a Polecats, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the night here.
All right, thank you so much for your run. We are going to go to a quick break here in a moment, but just as a reminder before we do, Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits, so we'd appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to support future broadcasts. But we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes with 100% Race. Hello everyone, and welcome back from that break. We just finished up our any % run of Dandara. Now we're going to have a race of 100% between Agri and Grinix. Before we jump into it too much, just want to remind everybody that this was a game that was voted on by our Twitter, and if you have a game that you would like to submit into one of those polls, you can go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix, and there's a link there that says suggest a game under the When tab that describes all of our shows. You can also type in the !spotlight command in chat, and there's a link to the submission form there as well. But Agri, Granix, how are the two of you doing today?
Pretty good. Bit tired at this point. It's almost 3 a.m. here, so.
Well,
doing good here.
Really happy.
Yeah, thank you for being awake and
my pleasure.
Run here for us. What can we expect to see differently here with 100% compared to the any % run we just saw?
An extra boss, first off, is one of the big things, and then a lot of item abuse. So we try to optimize how we use our items to get through long sections instead of trying to do death warps and stuff. We just heal up and tank a lot of damage to go fast instead. I'd say.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it all up.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to explain before we get started, or you just want to start the race?
I think any percent went through most of the things, just different applications of the same stuff.
Yeah, should be good to go, I think.
All right. If you two are both ready, I am ready with the timer.
That's good.
Want me to
Swissy.
count you down? Yeah?
Yes,
All right.
please.
So, let's get this race going in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so we're starting off in the same little tutorial area here. Need to learn how to play the game. Since none of us has actually played this game, this is a blind run. I'm gonna shoot this little target off screen here to skip some of the tutorial as well. So as this is 100%, on the left there you see a chest and an exploration meter. Guess what we're gonna do with those? We're actually gonna get them to 100%. It's absolutely incredible. So there's a lot of just going out of your way to get the extra chest, get the extra salt, get the extra everything to get those meters up. Which also means you have to see every room and then collect all the chests that are available to you. That also means that we're gonna have a big surplus of salt. So we're easily gonna get all the upgrades that we could ever want, and then some. So yeah, this first area here is actually a pretty difficult platforming area with a chest at the end. So you're taking a small death there, unfortunately.
I do notice that you mentioned just the chest and exploration percent, which means that the upgrades aren't required, but how many of the upgrades will you be getting since you have so much salt?
Hard to say right off the bat, considering it's a lot up to personal preference and safety.
Okay.
So I did a run the other day, and I think I had 15 hearts and full energy potion and health potion upgrades, and a few in the just regular energy stat. But I know, for example, Polecats goes a lot riskier with the run and has a lot less in everything. So it's safe in a race setting, probably more than what I'm used to, or more than you would in a world record attempt.
Yeah. So it's not actually required for the 100% completion. We just go by the nice percentage meters there on the side.
It is nice when the game tells you what 100% is.
Yeah, it is. It's great. So you see a little bit of routing difference here. In Polecats 90%, we went to the village. The village, that's what it's called. Thank you. Me. The village first. Before getting this arrow, we were actually going to go get this arrow first and then death warp back to the camp before moving into the village.
So potentially what this arrow can do is, like they said earlier, is a quick kill or a phase skip on the first boss. If you time your shots correctly, you can get in enough damage to skip the face coming out of the back of the screen part of the fight.
Yeah. And here we see an item we didn't see. It's the map. Useful for casuals, not really that useful for us since, well, the game has been played. We know where to go. But for 100%, it's still needed. So, gotta get that sweet map. Also,
All that sweet loot.
All that sweet loot. I was getting the first health potion here. We're gonna get quite a few of both those and another type of potion we didn't see in the last run, which are the energy restoring potions.
So yeah, at the end of it all, we'll have 4 different types of sub-weapons, 9 health potions, 9 energy potions, and 6 shots for our regular weapon.
Yeah, so it'll be quite a different run. Right now it's pretty much the same as the 80% run you saw earlier, just with an extra arrow. It'll be quite different by the end of this, because you'll have a lot more tools to our disposal.
How many of those sub-weapons do you use? Do you wind up using all 4 of them?
Actually, yes. I tend to use one on the final boss, and then another on some random enemies. So and then we have the memory shaft that you saw earlier. Whoa. Move that back. The memory shaft can be useful for the final boss as well. Second phase. These are all niche uses.
But uses nonetheless.
Very much.
So obviously we see the runners going through a lot more of the village than Polkat did earlier. Because of course we need to get everything. All of the loot. All of the salt. Just a lot of routing, knowing where to go. And then executing it. Most of the time, this run is... At least it gets a bit safer as it goes on, because you'll have a lot more health potions, a lot more health than you would in 90%. So the runners will be able to take a lot more risks after the first couple of upgrade sessions.
That was bad.
Oh no. Oh, that's...
This is
Alright,
fine.
very good.
Everything's fine.
I mean, it's good. This is a pretty long run. You have time to get back. Granox now on the very difficult tank boss that we saw earlier. It's gonna be difficult. We'll see. Standing in one location and shooting is difficult, but Granox managed to do it. Very well done.
Actually, the safe spot on that mini boss, you can have it go by twice without being in danger of taking a hit if you stand in the correct spot. So even if your quick shots aren't really up to par, you can still be pretty safe there.
Yeah. It's a
Okay.
very, very nice little spot. Maybe also in this mini boss, Granox is going through the village. Did the little death warp earlier as well.
So are there more death warps, less death warps than 100%?
There are more because we have to go to more areas. We do a few more death warps here and there, like where I'm going right now. Some people route this area in later. I decided to do it now because you don't lose that much salt for death warping back from here. But the main gist is usually that if it's too far of the way, then you just death warp back unless you have a bunch of salt you want to bank for upgrades.
Yeah, you said you have access to a lot more salt in 100%. So is there ever a point where you're just not concerned about salt anymore and you can just death warp willy-willy without that being a concern?
Mostly yes. Like right before the final boss in the Golden Fortress, there are a lot of chests with quite a bit of salt. You can be banking about 10,000, which could be 3-4 upgrades at some points. But if you want to go really fast, then you just death warp instead of banking it. So.
Yeah. Something also with the upgrades, the amount of salt each upgrade costs is just increasing every time you get an upgrade. So the cost will be quite low to start, obviously a lot more to the end. It's definitely worth mentioning. Yeah. With the question of who's leading, it's a bit hard to tell, but mainly you can see it. There is a percentage meter in the left side of the screen, which gives a general view of who's a little bit in the lead. But with the routing changes, it might change at a whim.
And this is an area, or part of an area you didn't get to see in the 100% run. We have to go the long way around here to be able to get all the rooms and a single chest off to the side. So,
Yeah.
and that's the interesting thing with this run is that it's not just 100% item completion. It's both 100% item and map. If it was just one or the other, the routing would probably be very different.
Yep.
Yeah, I know in some other Metroidvanias they have different categories for 100% item or 100% map. But since this one tracks both,
It's just convenient, and you have to go through almost all the rooms anyways to get all the items.
Yeah.
Might as
There
well.
isn't much. There isn't like much of a need for different categories because they would just be so close anyway.
There were actually
Yeah.
talks of adding all the salt spirits to the 100% requirement, but back then the community ruled that no, please don't, because A, it doesn't really add much to the gameplay, and B, there's no good way to track it in game.
yeah.
Little known fact, there is a salt spirit at the beginning of the game if you return to where you start.
And what are the salt
Subways.
spirits again?
There are other people that have gone through the area and have met some accidents or other ways just passed on.
Oh, okay.
And they all also something kind of interesting is that every soul spirit has text that explains how they die. And there's a couple of places where it sort of foreshadows what might kill you as well, which is pretty fun. I think the one I remember most is one Agri showed me.
Yeah, right after the antlion mini-boss, or when you're going to the antlion mini-boss, there's the salt spirit that Polecat's picked up to stock up on some health. And the text there is too slow. And as the Rock of Remembrance activates traps, when you go back there with it, the walls try to crush you. And hindsight is 2020. I died to that the first time.
Almost like you were too slow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're gonna see the first boss, and as mentioned, because we have 4 arrows, Granox is gonna try to shoot as much as he can, and try to skip the first phase of Augustus here. Yeah, that's what's first phase done. On the second phase here with the platforms, the head. Just trying to move, not get hit by too many projectiles. Kill the enemies that are in your way. Oops, very long health, but should be fine. And that's the boss. Very nicely done. And we're picking up the cogwheel. I forgot the name of the thing. Salt green thing.
Well, he'll tell
Stone
us here in a
Creation.
moment.
Stone of Creation.
Stone Creation. Just what I said. I got it.
That one also looks a bit like a crystal.
It's probably a salt crystal, but just green. I'm sure that there's green salt, right?
Certain salts burn green.
Close enough. We'll take it.
Nope. Or
Let's see. Maybe
no,
also
two
skip.
shots off, I think.
Ooh,
Okay, 2 or 3.
that's close. Still a very short first one, but that's always nice.
3.
So you mentioned earlier on one of the patterns of the final boss that you didn't want to see eggs. How much are boss moves and their RNG like affect your time in this run?
In 100%, not really that much because we get an upgrade that allows us to block damage at the cost of energy.
Oh, okay.
In any percent, you have to really kite some attacks around the room and jump back and forth quite a bit to dodge them, especially in any percent when you have a lot less health. and that fight is a bit relentless in the attack sometimes, so you don't really have time to pop a potion. It can be, the RNG can make a big difference.
Yeah. I think in Paul gets 90% run yet. I think it looked like quite a nice pattern overall. So he got fairly lucky with the attacks there. And even then, it's still like, it can get really hectic. So, look, a bridge. This didn't have any significance in the last one.
But I already know the truth now.
Shh! Don't tell them.
But this is 100%, so
Yeah,
we
you
live by
never know.
different truths.
Maybe it's different. Ooh. Stick around and find out.
I don't believe you.
Why can't you just trust me? We've gotten to know each other so well over this past hour, and yet you still doubt me.
No?
That's a creepy looking mouth thing.
It is.
It's fine. Just don't get eaten by it. It's easy. All right, so
Imagine.
Aegis
I'm sorry.
picked up an energy potion, which is something Polecats did not get at all because they're not really needed. But of course, 100% we need things, and they quite simply refill your energy meter by a bit. It's pretty self-explanatory. Sorry, what were you saying, Angry?
No, imagine those weren't in the game originally. They came in a patch later, and incidentally, the patch came while I was practicing this for a marathon. So I hadn't played the new patch, and because I was practicing the old one. And all of a sudden, I was gonna try the game out one day, and jump down to an upgrade, and one of those mouths is right there. I was spooked, to say the least.
Can't imagine.
So I noticed that Granox has 2 little meters on his energy meter.
Yep.
Does the energy potion refresh a set amount, or does increasing your energy meter make it restore more as well?
No, it increases a set amount, and just as you can upgrade the effectiveness of the healing potions, you can upgrade the effectiveness of the energy potions.
Okay. So that's just another one of the optional upgrades you get based on...
Yep.
It's one of the 4 things you can level up on, so to speak.
Health potions, energy potions.
And with the health potions, it's very easy. Level 2 health potions gives 2 hearts. Level 3 gives 3 hearts. With the energy, it's not as clear cut. So from the beginning, a potion gives about half a meter, approximately, and then 3/4, and then a full, I think. Ramble.
So Granox is now moving into the desert and towards the library to pick up the spooky skull, and actually gonna fight a boss this time on the way out. That's gonna be neat. It'll be something completely new for once.
Yeah, the boss that we were told we wouldn't see in any percent.
Which we weren't. We didn't see it. But we will now. Or well, not right now, but once we've gotten the skull and the things we need in this area, we're gonna fight that boss. It'll be a lovely time. I'm sure no one will try to be murdered. Everything is okay.
So how much of the 100% run is us getting to a certain point and then you're doing the so-called cleanup that happens a lot in Metroidvania 100%, where you're revisiting places and getting things that you didn't get on the first pass?
Let's see, the route has changed quite a bit. It used to be, because we couldn't just death warp easily, it used to be a huge cleanup at the end. But now it is more evenly distributed throughout the run. So I've already cleared out the Village of Artists. So that's just done. But we used to go back there as part of the final cleanup. So,
it'll
most
be
of
a
the time,
little bit
a
of
little
cleanup,
bit.
just not as much as used to.
Yeah, pretty much. The entire purple area, the intention capital, is one massive cleanup technically because we don't do it in any percent. So I'm gonna try to line up a difficult. So if I
Yeah, so
and like
in Podcast Run we saw something very similar here where you get hit on purpose to try to squeeze your line. Granax doing the other one that Podcast did earlier as well. You try to squeeze your line through a little gap for skip. It's pretty darn precise. And he actually ran out of health there, so he has to take another out.
And I think it was mentioned at any percent. You refill your health potions by picking up more health potions or by camping?
that is correct.
Exactly.
Camping and not flagging, because there is a flag right up here, but it's just a checkpoint flag, not a proper campsite.
Okay.
So it just acts as a, hey, if you die, you restart here, but you can't just use it to refill stuff. Which means if you use the return to camp function, you won't get a full heal.
Because you'll go to the flag instead of the camp.
Yeah, you have to actually die properly to be able to trigger that one. And since usually there aren't any enemies near the flags, it can be difficult to do that quickly. So
Alex had a bit of a unfortunate death, but is now going for the damage boost again. That was pretty close. Let's see, nice, done. Actually, yeah, the runners have a couple different setups for the damage boost to squeeze through. Granax did a little bit of diagonal with Segui, more went straight forward. But whatever works is good. Those are quite
try to
precise
line up.
damage boosts.
you see the targeting circle when you jump. I try to line that up right on the edge when I'm standing up, just like that, and use that as a visual indicator. And then try to time when the missile is at a certain point.
I saw quick spins there from Egg as well. So we discussed you can use the sub weapons to spin faster because you don't have to wait for the charging animation of your regular arrows. Here we have the ant lion in the boss again. Shoot the eye a bunch with missiles, then get into position to shoot it to hopeful death. Pretty scary mid boss, but Egg does it very nicely. And now we're gonna get the spooky skull, rock remembrance, whatever alliteration you want. It's all good. Basically, anytime you see anything with skulls, that's the what the rock remembrance will.
Oh yeah, this.
Actually affect.
Too slow.
Too slow.
Oh. Okay, I see.
So in older patches, that wall came slamming down on you. Wasn't a leisurely pace as it is now.
And the leisurely pace is still pretty fast, but yeah, so that might give you an idea of wasn't very nice, basically. Granite's taking another unfortunate death there. As well. Let's see. Okay, we're now gonna move towards the memory shaft, right?
That is correct. And then do some final cleanup of this area before moving on to the boss fight. So yeah, it mostly follows a pattern of get the progression, get the items, do cleanup if possible at the time, move to next area.
Yeah.
Lather, rinse, repeat for the main areas.
Yeah, it's pretty like typical Metroidvania stuff where you need progression item to progress to get more progression items to progress.
Yeah.
It's a great little loop.
And I forgot about that. We're actually going to see Dreamlands in this run.
Oh
properly.
right, yeah, that's the whole area.
No. Yeah.
Let's keep it so we have something to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a whole different area as well.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I remembered you all had mentioned there's a large section of the run that we just won't see in any percent, but we'll get to see 100%. So
Yeah.
when does that come up in the run?
So if you remember the skip that Polkats did with the oscillating platform going through the wall, it's that area.
Oh, okay.
So it's that whole dream area going through. It's quite a big area as well, so yeah, there's gonna be some more gameplay.
Oh.
I mean, it looked like a pretty hard skip, so not having to deal with that must be nice to a certain degree.
Actually, no, not at all. Because what you deal with in that area is so much worse.
Oh no.
Yeah.
At least
I mean-
that skip can't really kill you unless you just don't watch your health. Dreamlands are not as nice.
Oh boy. Something to look forward to then, I suppose.
Of course.
Let's put it this way: any percent before people found that clip was no joke. It was brutal.
And it's excuse me. And it's still no joke. Like, you may have seen that the 90% run is pretty hard in itself.
Oh yeah.
Especially brutal because of the lack of upgrades. The final boss is just really hard.
And now with the Belial skipping the second boss and that long death warp is
Oh yeah.
you're sweating the whole time you're running that gauntlet from the village outskirts all the way up to the memory shaft. Because if
Yeah.
you die there, then it's run over. You've lost at least 10 minutes.
Yeah. Which is actually kind of a bit in a 30-minute run.
Who'd have thought? Oh yeah, let me get
Surprisingly,
this clip.
Almost like it's a 30-minute run. Yeah.
Uh,
So 90% is a scary run. And
there we go.
Oh, nice.
And the Dream Realm also has the room I call the vomit room. Because
No,
it's
that. Yeah, that is.
I've forgotten what room that is. Now I'm looking forward to it.
Some games have to warn people about photosensitivity. This one, it is motion sickness.
Yeah.
So-
if that's an issue, just give us a warning before we
I
get
will.
there.
So we're talking about safety and upgrades. Right now I'm at floating about 1500 salt. That would be right now about an upgrade and a half. The area I'm going to now, I pick that flag up right now to be able to get back here quickly using a death warp. But if I wanted to play a bit safer, then I would just... Whoa. Then I just run this hallway back and lose perhaps 15 seconds. So that's the thing. Even though it's 100%, you can add safety strats to it, which is very nice, which makes it a lot better for learning the route.
Speaking of the route as well, there's a whole route document made by Polkats that explains the routing and everything very nicely. If you want to learn more about the run and stuff, there's a whole nice Discord server where you can learn more about it. You can find it on the speedrun.com page. Because this game is a very hard run, but it's a very fun game and fun run as well. Can definitely recommend just playing it, even if you don't want to run it. The game itself is really fun to just play.
Yeah, the game isn't that difficult in itself, but
Yeah,
the skill
that's true.
ceiling can be very high, considering if you want to have perfect movement, then you want practically frame perfect inputs the entire game, so that as soon as you land on a wall, you're jumping off of it to the next one.
Yeah.
But still, you can take your time and not lose out too much on it. And also makes you the off-screen enemy. It also allows for some really good, some positive vibes when you can really feel when you're starting to learn the movement and how you're picking up speed and going faster and faster and faster, which I think is very good motivation to have.
For sure. See, Granok's attempting right now a very hard skip here, where basically it's just trying to do two very fast and pretty precise jumps to try to get past this moving door before it just slams him shut. Nicely done. That's it's very tight. Or it's basically just going through a door. It's completely fine.
So I noticed that early on in the run, the routes deviated a decent amount. How much player choice is there for deviation in the 100% run?
I am actually not completely sure. The only one who's actually been timing things properly is Polecats. I'm ashamed to admit that I haven't been doing my part that much recently. I think that saving this for later is a menu and a load, so about 10 seconds perhaps, because you have to teleport over there and then do the area to get that item. So, but there's, as it stands right now, I think there's only one route if you want to go for world record, but for learning there are several routes you can do for safety or convenience. Because if you leave an area to come back to it later, there's always the risk of forgetting to go get it. And here.
So now, we're gonna have a boss fight. Wonderful. So yeah, this arena here houses Belia? Which is a big boss fight. We're gonna go in here and shoot the heart of it. Because usually if you want to kill something, you go for the heart. Pretty self-explanatory. Quite a lot of projectiles just to keep moving, making sure you don't take the damage while you're dishing it out.
God Pixel? Question mark? Nope.
Not quite.
So there is a couple pixels you can stand on to avoid the attack that hits almost the entire room. But otherwise, we have 6 hearts, we can just tank the damage. No big deal.
So yeah, that's the exciting gameplay you missed out on in the 100% run. That's the boss fight. We have a little chest here.
Quick shots, quick shots. Oh, sorry.
As you can see, the movement when it's going well is super smooth and really satisfying to pull off. But getting to this level is just a lot of practice and a lot of just knowing where to go. It's pretty difficult, but it's also just really satisfying once you get it down. Definitely nailed the movement system in this game. So.
And also that the movement system transfers so well to other platforms.
Yeah.
So when they were designing it, they were thinking, how can we have a movement system that works both on keyboard, controller, and even a phone? And that's how they come up with this. So on keyboard and mouse, you drag the mouse downwards, like in the opposite direction of where you're jumping, and you do a swipe, or like a hold and swipe on phone. That's good. And it works on all platforms, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
really weird trying to play with keyboard and mouse. It's almost impossible to go this fast just due to the movements that are required. But it works.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, I saw some discussion in chat where it was being advised to play on a controller and not keyboard and mouse, but
Yeah, I'll agree with that wholeheartedly.
It is technically possible, but the game even says if you try to use mouse inputs, when you start the game, it says we highly recommend using a controller.
Yeah. I did the mistake of attempting a keyboard for a little bit, and then I tried it and I was like, I'm just gonna try my controller instead. And it was a lot better. So, yeah, if you have a controller at the ready, or own like any platform that has controllers, it's probably gonna be more fun for you that way.
That's actually, I don't know if you saw that now. This is tech I actually found the other day. Is that if you mash the button to use either a potion or an essence when you come out of a door, you'll skip most of the animation of using it. It'll automatically just pop it when you come out on the other side. So right now I'm mashing B for a health potion, and it's just the end of the animation.
Huh. That's super cool. Nice find.
I mean, preferably you won't be... Oh, that was bad. Won't be having to chug potions all day long, but in a pinch.
Yeah.
It's better to lose 1 second than lose 3.
Yeah, time works out that way. It's great.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds on the boss fight. The hard, or I think someone called it the kidney in chat. So, works. I'm gonna go by the hard just because it's in the middle anyway. I agree. Has to deal with the scythe bird dude thing, whatever it is. Which is as discussed 90%. It's very annoying, mostly just because it likes going through walls, and our shots don't. So killing him can be a bit of a pain.
so what I'm hearing is birds are jerks.
Yeah,
Always.
It's amazing how many games that comes true.
I mean, have you seen certain birds in real life? They are not okay.
Birds are fine. It depends on what bird.
Have you ever been chased by a goose?
I have not, but I have eaten goose. It's pretty good.
Oh, hold on. Today I learned.
Wait, you don't have eaten goose? What kind of a Swede are you?
I'm American, but
You live here, okay? So. Oh.
You should be careful about that. We had Untitled Goose Game on some of our shows, and a lot of the people in chat have been honking in chat ever since. We do a raid after our shows, and almost every raid has been people just going honk in the chat recently.
glorious.
Honks.
I was seeing in chat, either you hunt the goose or the goose hunts you. Survival of the fittest. Yep, 100% agree.
Love that.
Oh no. And here's an example of chugging potions going through a door.
Good thing you just want to show off that cool tech you found.
Hey, the only glitch I found has been patched out, so I have to have something to my name, right?
What glitch was that? Out of curiosity.
The Elder Phase 1 skip,
Ah, okay.
which was unfortunately patched very shortly after. So we had found that there was some weird behavior with Elder, that if you could do like double hits to and like sometimes chunk a massive amount of his HP at once. And it was suspected that if you hit both corners of the TV screen with one memory shaft that was the trigger. But I found out that if you shot a memory shaft and Elder was traveling in the opposite direction of the wall where it's located, it would do damage on every frame. So
Oh,
that
interesting.
means Elder Phase 1 was shoot a memory shaft on the left, jump to the right, and he'd die within a second. 100% consistent. And they're like, no, this can't stand. This is something that casual playthroughs will suffer for, so.
Yeah.
And notice on here, we're not taking the bridge.
You're not?
Because we have
I
rooms to
told-
explore.
You should have trusted me.
You burned me too many times. I didn't believe.
I burned you so many times. You don't need to guess that one of the times I might be telling you the truth. You know? So yeah, we have things to explore, so we're just gonna run through, get that sweet percentage.
And now you see why this room is so slow with the spikes alternating out of the walls. It's just really bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just forces you have to stop and wait for the cycles.
Yeah. Technically, I guess you can damage boost through it, but it doesn't really save that much time, and you need to heal constantly. And especially in any percent, we don't have that much healing. No.
And
basically.
also in that room, the noxious swamp gases are coming up forming bubbles, so you can get wombo comboed pretty hard in there. It's happened to me a few times where you get hit by a spike and then you get hit by a bubble, so you bounce back into the spike, and it's just an infinite cycle of pain.
So it's
Yeah,
either
sounds
that or a 100% consistent damage boost skip.
Yep.
Take your pick. I'm going with the damage boost.
Okay, so
Now we
I
have
see-
the Dreamland. So this is the big area that we completely just did not care about in any percent because we just did a skip in the wall right here where Aegir is. Now we actually have things to do and see and get.
So we start by going two counterclockwise from where we enter. So the Dreamlands, where you enter is the screen rotates all the time, or the platforms rotate, so it's not easy to know where you enter from, but that platform will always be tingling with salt, and then you go the second platform counterclockwise from there to get here, which we need for some chests. 7 salt.
That's good stuff.
That's quite a reward from a chest.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
so
It's like
good.
almost a percent of an upgrade.
And I have no idea how it's actually meant to do this one, but oh well, that is. So yeah, now I have to chug 2 potions to be able to get back up. Because I haven't upgraded them yet, or 2 essences. And then we're going to go through this area, we're going to do a classic 100% thing, and pop into this room, and then just leave. Because there's nothing on the other side, we need the map completion. So, in now. And if you are prone to motion sickness, you might want to look away for a moment in this room.
Thank you for the warning. It is appreciated.
I should forgotten what this room is. It's really interesting. Oh god. Oh, this room. Oh. Oh, I
Now
remember.
you see why it's called the vomit room.
Yep, that makes sense. I had forgotten this room even existed. Oh dear. I must have just repressed it into my memory somewhere. Oh.
But hey, our stomachs might be a bit more empty after this, but our weapon is upgraded, so fair trade-off.
You can just fill it with salt. That's
That
the only
sounds like a bad
nutrition
idea.
we need. Sounds like a what?
Sounds like a bad idea.
Just let the salt consume it. It's fine, I promise.
Speaking of, remember, stay hydrated.
Drink some water.
And now we're going to the place that confuses a lot of people on their first playthrough.
Wait, so the Dreamlands wasn't confusing people?
No, this is even more confusing, because it says we're back at the Village of Artists. But these enemies were not there. So we are in the fake Village of Artists, and the only way out is either finding the exit or dying.
But you want the map completion, so
We have to go through here. And these rooms get progressively harder. So from the beginning, oh, it shot down. I'm gonna just chug that. So you see right now, take note of when I killed that bomb enemy right there. That right now it just died.
It is dead.
It is dead, and nothing else happened. No! Didn't kill them fast enough and got a bad pattern, so...
Unfortunate.
It's, leaving my spirit there, so I get a free health boost when I get back.
Yeah, it was obviously all planned.
That and RNG manipulation, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah, that's the traditional speedrunner line.
I mean, it's totally true every time. When have we ever lied to you?
Oh, they're coming for me.
Yeah, they're kind of meanies.
Persistent ones.
Yeah, gotta give credit where credit is due.
You know what? I'm just gonna... They lose tracking of you when you get down here. So here's the technically fourth sub-weapon, but we get a third. The Anxiety Shock uses a full chunk of energy, but it has a lingering blast that deals quite a bit of damage. The beast.
So you're just using your anxiety as a weapon? I didn't know this game would call out to me like this.
Salt and anxiety, all anyone needs.
And now we have some...
Suddenly much more relatable.
So now you see when these things explode, they become one of those large ball enemies. Which is...
It is terrifying.
Yeah, that seems
And the room's
rather
shaking.
annoying.
Oh, yeah, the room's shaking. Yeah.
To show that something's happening, that you're not just going through the same rooms over and over again. And oh, I forgot about that. Hidden treats. And if you think scythes are bad, you're gonna see something a lot worse now. Introducing the Sorcerer. So, they do the same thing as the scythes, like being in walls, but they fire 3 projectiles, and as you see right now, these are shooting, they're desynced from each other. So I'm having to dodge 2 different sets of bullets, with 2 different sets of tracking. Oh, that... And you can kind of die through this cutscene.
Oh.
That
And
was
those-
a little bit tense.
And those orbs on the ground, they emit a shock if you stay there for too long after landing on them. So you have to jump away if you land.
Yeah. I don't like the sorcerers.
So imagine having any % health and upgrades and doing that section.
No.
No.
Yeah, better yet, just don't. Just do
Yeah.
the clip. It's fine.
I don't want to imagine that. That sounds bad.
Now you understand why that clip is so much better.
Now we're going to the reasoning lock. Now we're going to do the cleanup portion of the game. And no, I didn't... Yeah, let's do reasoning lock first. So here comes one of the worst kept secrets of this game. It's a room that people usually casually have a very hard time of finding, and there's just one little thing to show that there actually is something here. Bam.
Wait, there was something there? I didn't see it.
Oh.
So that wall is covered up. You have to shoot it with a missile to reveal it. And the only hint that something is up here is that there are these two platforms you can jump on outside, whereas the other
okay.
ones don't have anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't see any hint on the wall that was breakable.
Nope.
No. Mostly a very good game. There are a couple of things that could leave things to be decided, but like, you know, gotta hide things well sometimes. There are a couple of other rooms that have like these breakable walls or walls you can go through, but they're not really.
Yeah, and I.
Oh yeah, you have a story about one of them, don't you?
Yes, I do. So, Polecat's picked up, to be able to get the health upgrades he needed, he went to an area here in the Intention Capital where he shot a wall and picked up 2 chests. I did not know you could shoot the wall. So what I was doing was, there are 2 enemies there in a flippy platform. So I tried to flip the platform while getting hit by the enemy, so the platform would turn, but the damage boost would cause me to stay on the same side as it. Because the way it is usually is that you're on the opposite side of the chest when you get in there. It'll make sense when you see the room. It's just felt really dumb. Really, really dumb.
Then again, it's a very creative fix. Like, I commend you for even thinking of trying to do that. It's it displays a great understanding of the game.
Or, well, lack of understanding, considering I didn't see the easy way.
Well,
This is one of my favorite chests.
I suppose. Oh, nice.
So, coming up in this room. So what you're supposed to do is just shoot that wall. But what I was trying to do was stand on the other side of this platform right now and get those enemies to hit me while I was turning around, so I'd stay on the same side as the chest. And it worked, but it was very precise and not fun. And this was when I was routing 100%. I actually in one of the old world records, I actually did that strat and got it very quickly, so it was fine. Wasn't a time loss, but
Did no one like see that and just like, what are you doing that for?
No, because I don't know, who needs enemies with friends like mine, I guess.
That's true.
Or there's like, if he doesn't figure it out himself, just come on, he doesn't deserve it.
Just
So
see
now
how
we're-
long he wastes time so we have a chance of this.
So now we're coming up on one of the miscellaneous or the only miscellaneous upgrade, the Bracers of Patience. Of the Patient, sorry. Hold button, be immune. Uses that.
What button do you have to hold to become immune?
And on Xbox controller, left trigger, or the equivalent, so L2, L on a Switch. No idea on a phone or keyboard and mouse.
Okay, so it's not a shared button that's used for something else. It's
No,
just-
it's a unique button.
Okay.
And we picked up another sub weapon. I think we forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah.
The Logic Blast.
Yes.
It bounces up to 3 times, which is pretty cool.
Meanwhile, Granite has been going through. Just went through the Dreamlands, getting the upgrade. Mostly clean, especially the fight was very good. Starting up the cleanup here as well, where Agri is at. Why 3 times? Because 4 would just be too many. And 2 is just never enough.
Isn't it always have to do the same thing 3 times on bosses to kill them most of the time? And when it's more than that, it's really annoying.
Sounds
It's
about
usually
right, yeah.
platformers, though. Like,
So,
I'm not sure if you qualify this as a platformer because you're like
There are
are
platforms.
There are platforms.
That's the only way we're moving. So
No, not the center.
I mean,
Mistream.
Metroidvania platform. It's fine.
It just reminds me of his Oregon Trail roguelike question that you don't like.
Thanks, Such a dumb question. It's Oregon Trail. What? I'm too tired for this.
No question mark is my reply.
My reply is just thanks. I hate it. That's all I can say. It's Oregon Trail. I don't want to discuss that. Let's move on.
I'm surprised Swede knows about Oregon Trail. To be fair.
I mean, I've seen it on this
Oh,
little
come
marathon, this little unknown marathon GPQ.
Yeah, Summer Games Done Quick. I think it was Skybills ran it on
Yeah,
an actual old computer, one of the original.
Yeah,
hardware.
I remember something. I don't remember who. I guess it was most likely not for Skybills, but yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
Skybills.
I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched it, but I'll take your word for it. But I saw that, so I know what Oregon Trail is. Basically.
So now I'm playing it safe because I kinda want this salt for another upgrade, just in case, because I know what can happen. So I could have just death worked back and would have saved me perhaps 10 or so seconds, but... No, do not do that now. Now we're going to the breach in the wall. Because I'm picking up 2 chests here anyway, so... Extra menuing is slow. You don't want to be slow.
Slow is bad, fast is good. That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this activity.
There you go. So now, coming up on the Golden Fortress, and this part of it is going to look very different from what you saw in 90%. The whole cautious, meticulous movement and planning and strategic deaths, we really don't do anything of that.
Yeah, so at this point they've gathered just a couple of upgrades here and there, so...
Do we still
Just
have to
damage
free
boost.
some friends?
I can free some
yeah.
friends.
The free some friends, it's good. Just for good luck.
But it's not required in this one?
You
No,
still
it's
have
not.
to do... Is there an...
There's
forget
one
what you have to do.
well, you could, but it's quicker just to damage boost through it.
Okay. Yeah.
Whoops. There's the shield in action. It drains a little bit while you're holding it down, and a bit more when you take damage.
So there's a limit to how much you can block?
Yes, it's your sub-weapon energy is used to fuel the shield as well.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, we can just push on through.
Yeah, we just have a couple more upgrades, so it's just can damage boost way more than Polecats could in the 100% run. Which makes this not quite as scary. Still a little bit scary just because there's a lot of things, but not quite as much risk of death as there would be.
And especially now when you're coming up to getting the max amount of potions. So I think I'm at 7 or 8. So which means if I just chug them like there's no tomorrow, and next time I get a potion upgrade, well then I'm going to be at 1 more than I had previously. So
Yeah. Obviously, there's also more to do this time around because more chests and rooms that we have to get. Even then, with all the upgrades, you're way more free to just go and not really care about these pesky enemies and whatnot.
going a bit safe here and picking this chest up now. Just have it done. Oh. I'm not tired. You're tired. Let's see.
Yeah, I am tired actually. That's
There.
almost like it's like 4 a.m. here. It's fine.
I'm so hype on adrenaline right now, and just
Yeah,
having a
yeah.
good time. That tiredness is
You're
gone.
This is going well. Both of y'all are doing really good.
So, let's just damage boost all through this. And, well... Okay, maybe not that much. Calm down.
There's still limits, but the limits were way nicer.
Yay, friend.
Free friend. Woo! We did it.
I assume at this point, just having so much health and your health potions are upgraded,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
you can just...
each health potion just heals 7 at this point.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a bit. So effectively, that's like what? 54 health.
The
Some
main
of that health?
danger... something along those lines.
Did-
The main danger is if you get into a situation where you're taking a lot of damage and you don't have time to actually use the potion. This is obviously bad. And
Yeah, because it locks you in place for a short moment when you use it.
Yeah, exactly.
and overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Oh my god. Somebody actually just mentioned that game in chat.
And also, I'm a bit dumb, so I don't want to overuse resources. So now I have 6 heart, or I'm 6 hearts down, and a potion heals for 7. So I don't want to use it until I know I'm getting
Just
full
heal.
value out of it.
You need the maximum the value, you know?
I mean, maximum value is nice and all, but I kind of like living. I don't know about you.
I mean,
What if you
Living on
could
the
live
edge.
and to get maximum value?
I can live on an edge, on a prayer.
Did someone used to work on the dock?
Hellcats is saying that potions used to take longer to use as well.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't know. Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
never heard
it
that.
was twice as long. Yeah.
Oh,
Edge too.
alright. Good patch. Thank you, devs.
And this was where Polecats picked up the Salt Spirit. But I can just skip that because I'm doing pretty good on health.
Yeah, just a bit okay. Just a little bit more than Polecats had earlier. Pretty much the same, honestly. Yeah.
Come on, bird. Okay, don't want to play nice? Well then.
Oh, these sites. Oh dear. Yeah, the one, this one that Agri's dealing with can be a bit messy, but with the amount of health,
Oh.
you can kind of just like, just go. Oh, don't do that.
You were right there.
I just hit my microphone because that's a good idea to do. Oh, that-
So,
excuse me.
here, you're supposed to go around to get to the... Whoops. So, what I was talking about earlier, how not being able to heal is bad. That's me right now. So there we go. There we go. So you're supposed to go around here. Intended route, but you can just damage boost with the memory shaft to get up here quicker.
Yeah, I've
Let me
seen
try to-
you.
Sorry, bud.
So I said, I've seen you all use the memory shaft like that quite a bit. It seems very useful.
It is very useful, and it's the only sub-weapon that can actually do self-damage.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't have any other alternative for the bridge skip, for example, or anything along those lines. We have to get it for a lot of these things.
Also works out nice that it just stays there for a bit, so you can actually just damage boost over and over again with the thing. You don't have to use a bunch of sub-weapon energy. It's very nice. Good
Yeah.
item.
Let's go that strat.
We have some more sites spawning in. Quick work with those. So yeah, we're pretty much following
Final
around 90%. We need to get all the locks unlocked and open up the path to the final boss of the video game.
And this is where I always start to get nervous, like, okay, have I missed something?
That happens in
Because
every like collectibles run. It's just
Because one of the things is that the chests don't add up evenly. All the chests give 1, but when you're at 98 and take a chest, it bumps you to 100.
oh, okay.
So that's why if you're counting, like, wait, I know there's like 5 chests left, but I'm at 94%.
Bum, bum, ba-dum.
Out of my way. And here we see the lingering damage of the anxiety shock really doing us a solid favor. And here, even though I'm don't need those 6 hearts, or I only had 4 missing, I use a potion because I know I'm getting a new one here.
Maximizing value.
Oh, yeah. Polecats. Right. Of course I go through the blender hallway. It's almost safer. It's definitely not safer, and it's actually with a... If I do it optimally, I lose a couple of seconds.
It's always fun.
And there's a risk of dying, which would lose me the salt anyway, so that means I just lose a bunch of time. And I don't even know if I got the final lock. Sometimes I skip that, so... Oops.
Don't actually remember if you did. I don't think you did.
No, I didn't.
If I remember right.
No jinxies? So...
You're fine, you're a professional. It's all good.
Oh no, this happened. Well, then I have to wait. So the corner there bumped me out a little bit, so I couldn't continue the climb. You know what? No. 7 potions, 2 essences, should be peaches and cream. Same thing here, pre-chugging essences because I'm picking up another one. That is the saving grace of 100%.
For sure.
And here we get the 6th arrow upgrade. And here I'm floating 12,000 salt. That is quite a few levels.
Yeah, a bit of salt.
Yeah.
12,000 is almost enough salt for me for an evening.
Got to it first.
There is 100% chests.
Yep, and this should
collect?
be 100%. No, not 100% because I have the final room.
99%, maybe.
Smart.
Soon enough.
So this is what Polecats calls Blender Hallway.
Yeah, I can see why. I can definitely see why.
saw.
Does not seem like a very fun area, I gotta say.
It's fine. Anxiety shock covering my back.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's mostly the bubbles really that annoy.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just gonna do that.
Nice one. Aegir's missing a room? Polecats? So not. But I guess we'll see.
Nah, it's the final. The boss room is a room.
Is it? It's the room.
There we go.
Polecats forgot about the routing, that's why.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah, Polecats does that first, so he death warps after he gets 100% chests. So that's why it's thrown a bit off.
Okay. So yeah, now we're coming up on the final boss fight once again. The main man, Eldar. So yeah, in case you weren't here for the Anderson run, this is the final boss, and it starts off as a big TV. That Eldar is either I don't know if he is the TV or if he's just controlling the TV because he seems to take damage with the TV. It's a screen. There's a couple of attacks. He's gonna charge towards Dandara. He's gonna shoot out some projectiles and also spawn enemies, which are just little clones of himself. For someone in chat asking, no, you do not actually have to upgrade everything to get 100%. We just go by the chests and exploration on the left side of the screen. That's all. The only 100% you need.
Because the other ones aren't tracked. So let's see if we get a good pattern here.
Yeah, let's hope for no eggs.
Missiles. I actually prefer eggs because you can, because there's a random spread to them. You can micro dodge.
Ah, okay, makes sense.
Like that, and then back. You see, there I can just stand still. But now we've got masks. So I use the memory shaft here to try to cover me while doing damage. There.
Yeah, the masks can get killed. Fire damage. Very clean fight. Nicely done.
Thank you.
So yeah, time is coming up for Agri. When the time shows up.
Time.
Nicely done. 112 flat.
Oh, I saw the counter stop at 99%. I was like, wait, what? I was like, no, there was 100 in game.
Yeah, you're fine.
It's a fine GDQ tradition of having a almost all percent speed run. But we didn't have
World
that.
record at 99%.
Yeah.
GG Agri.
Thank you. Let's see, Granux is coming up on the final stretch as well.
Yep.
Yep.
90% just, so he's...
Let's see which route he goes
I don't
for.
remember.
Yeah, just as a reminder, while Grenix is closing out, if you have any games that you'd like to see in the spotlight, we do have a submission form. You can suggest games to be put up for the vote. You can go to ! spotlight in chat to get the link there, or you can go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix, and there's a link that says suggest a game under the when tab that describes all of our games. This was one of the games that was suggested to that form, so
Yeah, thank you to whoever suggested this game. So, don't know who, but it's very much appreciated because it's a very, very cool speed game. So, we're all really glad we got to show it off a bit here for you today. Also, right now the poll is it Hollow Knight and Axiom Verge? So
Yes.
more Metroidvanias. for next week.
2 indie Metroidvanias. Hollow Knight is leading a bit, but that's sort of expected in the early parts of the poll, because the poll runs for a week. Hollow Knight has the probably more of the casual appeal.
Yeah, for
A lot
sure.
more people have played it, but the Axiom Verge speedrun is very amazing if you've never seen it.
Actually, I've not.
I mean, this run pulled back from quite the deficit from the beginning days. I think we're at like
You were at like
35 or
30%?
30%, and then
Yeah,
turned
something like
around. So thanks. Yeah, here you see Granox. Sorry for switching back and forth. Granox
worries.
went to the guardhouse first to level up some stats and bank the salt, so it's a lot quicker that way. So instead of having to go through the blender, he just has to pop in, see it, and then can death warp back out.
Yeah, it just sort of worked out that we had Castlevania show on Saturday, Dandara today, and then a vote for 2 Metroidvanias at the same time. So we just had our very Metroidvania recently on the hotfix.
Almost like it's a fun genre to speedrun.
And actually, I
Weird.
agree. As far as the blender room, I don't actually have to go in there because I pass on the lower half.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. Blocking the screen. Yeah, that's even better. Yeah.
Next run, Agri will not do Blend Room, I think.
No, I'll do it as a tradition, perhaps, because
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
dumb and stubborn. I don't know.
I have similar with the trick in one of my speed games. Slower and harder, but whatever. I'm just gonna do it. It's great.
Yeah, we're getting closer to the end for Grenix.
Yeah.
Just want to say thanks to everybody who was on today. So that's Polecats, Grenix, Agri, Swezzy for being here to help commentate. We had another person who was planning to commentate, but they couldn't make it. But I want to say thanks to them anyway.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having us and allowing us to show off this great game.
Yeah, it's been a really fun time tonight. Thanks for having us, and let's see Granix crush Elder and not be crushed by Elder.
Hopefully. The TV can crush if it really wants to, but
Yeah, that's a bit of an evil thing because the boss shakes a little bit when you damage it. And the way it telegraphs that it's going to charge at you is by shaking. So when you start opening up with a bunch of attacks from the beginning, you might not notice that it's going to charge at you. You don't see that's actually not moving, and then you get smashed in the face by a giant TV screen and instantly die. And your PB world record, whatever, along with it.
Yeah.
or
If that- Is it like a very slightly different type of shaking? You have to pay really close attention to notice it, or?
I think if you're outside looking in, the difference is obvious, but when you're there in the moment, if you know you're on PB pace or world record pace, and your mind is just going, okay, quick shots, I need to get them because it's a very specific rhythm, and you're getting into the zone,
Yeah.
and you don't really reflect that the boss isn't really moving that much, because sometimes the boss can also move quite slowly, so your brain just doesn't register it in the moment.
Yeah, and then you watch the VOD later on, you're like, oh no, why did I do that?
So that's 100% just I believe just the one room, the one boss room left. And then obviously the boss.
Pew 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 squash. Yeah, that sounds quite about right. It was from reading the chat. That's
Yeah, that's
most of us have been there, I think.
definitely totally not how my casual playthrough went. Totally.
I mean, I had a period when I was grinding this out quite frequently, and even in the midst of those, when I'm like playing the game several hours a day, every day, still just it happens.
Yeah.
So now, everyone, give your energy to Granux and see him close this out.
So far, no squashing. Oh, squashing. I tried it at least. First face down, nicely done. Let's see and hope for some good RNG for second phase here.
Fun fact: both Augustus and Elder have different dialogue when you enter the room after dying to them.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
interesting. They know it's a game. Some meta stuff right here.
So many eggs.
Egos.
And you said ideally we don't want eggs.
Well, Paul gets it, and Aegir apparently it's not a problem with it, so I guess it's a bit of preference too.
Oh, okay.
Don't know how Granix feels about the eggs. Sure, he'll tell us once he's done beating the crap out of Eldar with arrows, which should be very soon.
Yeah, and all Eldar's attacks get powered up after the 50% HP mark. So more eggs, the missiles go in both directions.
I
More
was
masks.
wondering if I placed that last memory shaft just in the right spot, and I didn't.
Dang.
Oh.
Well, that's time. GG, both of you. Very well done.
GG
Good
Granix.
runs.
Thank you,
Good.
and
We've
good
been
game to you as well.
We've been talking about doing a race for like a year, and it hasn't happened. So it's fun that this was where it actually finally turned up.
Well, thanks for coming on and showcasing this game for us. It looks really neat. I actually didn't know anything about this game until it was suggested to the forums. So once again, you can find that forum ! At Spotlight in chat or gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. Do the two of you have any shoutouts you'd like to do before I close out the show?
Besides the people that are here, I'd like to thank the devs at Long Hat House who are in the Discord and very open for suggestions on like if they want to change something. They ask if it's like, how will this affect the speed run? What do you think about this? And I'd like to also thank Growth Kasei, who was the person who got me into speedrunning this game.
All right.
Yep. The devs, honestly, they did a great job with this, and it's good to see that they are interactive with asking questions as to, hey, what do you guys have problems with in the speedrun, and what would be helpful, and like that, and they try and help out some.
Nice. Just as a reminder, tomorrow we have random number generation at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you tune in for that. It's a show about randomizers. Sometimes they'll do races. Maybe they'll do a single showcase of just a randomizer. It's a lot of fun, so you should tune in for that. And prize submissions for AGDQ 2020 are still open. Go to gamesdonequick.com, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits, so we'd appreciate it if you consider subscribing. But we are going to send you off to someone who's speedrunning Shovel Knight at the moment. Couldn't quite find a Metroidvania. It's kind of close. So why don't you go give them some energy, cheer them on in their runs, and we'll see you tomorrow for random number generation.